show, joined today by Maria Velkova, Managing Partner at Tabula Rasa Ventures. Thank you so much for speaking with the Dales Report.
Nicole, it's my pleasure to be here, and I'm super excited to discuss some very important topics today with you.
Yeah, and I think you're the perfect person to do it. So Tabula Rasa, for those who don't know, give us the overarching who, what, and why of the company.
Yeah, absolutely. So since 2018, we have been supporting entrepreneurs through a community-driven approach. We've been helping them in various ways to build and grow companies in the psychedelics industry. We typically have been working with early stage startups across pharma, healthcare, digital, and tech through our incubator and accelerator using a tailored hands-on approach. So we have supported these companies through, for example, operationally, helping them with designing their preclinical plans for drug development companies. We have helped them to secure big partnerships within the industry. For example, Clinic Software, we have connected that company to clinic systems that are in the psychedelic space. And we have helped entrepreneurs raise money as well. All of these companies we have also showcased through our conference, Psyched. Mentioning the community-driven approach, we don't only support entrepreneurs with hands-on help, but also support to get them out there in the world and to get their recognition. So our conference, Psyched, we believe to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, digital psychedelics conference, virtual psychedelics conference. We've had 60,000 viewers this past summer, and we have many different speakers, everyone from scientific community to companies, to investors, nonprofits, artists, community leaders in the space. And we really everything we do is to support entrepreneurs in the space.
And is your plan to grow the Psyched conference as well? Is that part of what you want to be doing, is making sure that, again, as there's this flood of new voices and entrepreneurs, that they are mixing and informing each other in a sense? So it's not just business people meeting with business people, but it is artists mixing with entrepreneurs, mixing with business people, and you know, I think one of the most important things, really, and a hot topic as always, is the Indigenous voices in the room. Like, is this kind of part of your own mandate?
Absolutely. We have highlighted the Indigenous voices on previous conferences as well. We're really trying to portray and paint a picture of this whole intertwined, interconnected network of individuals who are working to really create impact, not only through the most obvious way, medicine for people and patients who need these medicines the most, but also through kind of different business models, reciprocal models, impact, creating more impact, and really not only, as you mentioned, through the companies that are doing drug development or tech, but also through supporting Indigenous leaders, highlighting their voices, and really supporting their cause, and kind of respecting the fact that, you know, they have been using these medicines for thousands of years, and we really want to make sure that they stay in the forefront and their voices are heard. And it's a great question that you ask. We're definitely going to be growing our conference. We have several partnerships in the works, hoping to reach 1 million viewers this summer, and kind of along with the Psych conference, we're going to be hosting the first ever medical psychedelic series at Davos this year. It was supposed to happen now in January, but it was moved because of COVID in May. And we're very excited not only to be bringing the business leaders and science leaders, but also nonprofit and Indigenous representatives to Davos on this global stage in front of the most powerful and influential global leaders, and really educating them about the space and the opportunity that it holds for patients and for wellness and beyond.
Mm-hmm. I'm certainly looking forward to Davos. I was so upset when I saw that it was changed. I had to go have a shower and stand in the shower and go, damn it.
It will happen.
It will
Fingers
happen.
crossed. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely.
Safety before anything else.
Of
Obviously, we
course.
need to be respectful and kind of mindful of the fact that we're in a pandemic.
Yes.
People's safety number one, but it's coming, and we're still planning, and it's going to be very exciting to be on that stage and bring very powerful voices from the industry to it.
You mentioned reciprocity, and I think that's a really important thing to touch on. You know, with the Dales report, we have a lot of investors that come to our site, and they're always looking for companies that are doing things differently and where they should be putting their money. And that doesn't just mean that it's a profit generating endeavor. Rather, starting to put companies on the map who have reciprocity baked into their business model, not as an afterthought, but as something that they're saying, this is a non-negotiable for us. So what companies are you seeing in the industry that are currently having a positive impact that investors should be looking at, who are, I don't even want to call it going above and beyond, who are doing the baseline and doing the right thing by making sure that Indigenous voices are part of this and that are honored from ground one?
Yeah, that's a very important question. And just before getting into the companies, even personally, on a personal level, for me, what has brought like the biggest joy in my life is giving unconditionally. When you make a real impact in someone's life, it's the biggest fuel that, you know, personally keeps me going and wanting to work and to support entrepreneurs and the community and the companies that we support. For example, I was listening to a podcast, Sam Harris podcast recently. He was interviewing Sam Bankman-Fried, apologies. They were discussing give what you can pledge. And that give what you can pledge is basically to use your resources, like your profits, and channel that extra capital that you have to do the most good in the world, to not stigmatize wealth, to redistribute wealth and expand the norms of generosity. And the way that our economies and the way that money is being managed and handled in a world is really kind of centralized, and it is really stigmatized in a way that, you know, we're seeing countries, there's a big gap between the haves and the and have-nots, I guess you can put it that way. And really, I feel like wealth redistribution allows for fueling innovation, and innovation comes from a place of novel thinking. That's what innovation is. And if you have, you know, capital supporting the minds and the people who are all thinking in the same ways, we're kind of stagnating innovation. And, you know, you wouldn't think Indigenous or underprivileged or like people that come from stigmatized backgrounds, you know, would contribute. I mean, I don't think that at all, but, you know, getting that different perspective, learning and listening to each other can really fuel innovation, that it really impacts not only a percentage of, you know, people who can afford it, but it really impacts the people that need it the most, who are usually the ones that cannot afford, for example, certain, you know, medicines and healthcare, such as psychedelics. So I am really excited, and my personal background is in pharma and in biotech. For the first time, and within this community, psychedelics industry community, people are really fueled, not, as you say, doing it just to tick the box and say like, oh, we are doing ESG or we're doing reciprocity, but they're really putting that at the forefront. And like other companies as well, Tabula Rasa Ventures has pledged, you know, the Giving Back pledge, you know, 10% of our profits to fuel, you know, advanced scientific research, to support Indigenous communities, to expand patient access, especially for the underprivileged communities. And that's very important because it's the ground roots and the kind of cornerstone of any innovation, and hence after any businesses or any companies that you can create. And it can really, like, especially with the scientific research, in psychedelics, the only capital to support that has been philanthropic up until this point, but more and more people and other venture capital funds and investors are very open to this idea and looking for companies specifically that have this reciprocity and impact at the forefront. So just a couple of companies.
What are some of those? Like what companies have you come across specifically where you're like, okay, like this is one where again, like through the Dales report, we can say we can raise them up and be like, focus on this, follow this company, and follow their lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so some of the companies that are at the top of my mind are, for example, Journey Collab. They are a drug development company developing mescaline for alcohol use disorder. And they're a drug development company. However, they have the Journey Reciprocity Trust, where they also are taking 10% of the founding equity and using it to ensure equitable patient access, getting these medicines to people that need them most, like I mentioned before, for conservation of plant medicine. For example, peyote is an endangered plant, and now with the peak interest of the medical substances that it holds, there's a danger that it could get over harvested. So really plant conservation for me is important, especially as this movement develops. They also kind of support Indigenous communities to be at the forefront of the industry and really to be involved in kind of guiding, and their voice to be guiding how this industry evolves. Another company which I really, really love, they are kind of like a data company, Maya Health. They have developed a software platform designed to help psychedelic practitioners to manage, measure, and illustrate health outcomes. That's really important because what shows that something really works and it is creating impact is the data behind it. And it's usually very hard to capture that kind of data. So they're really working on that to be able to capture that data in a way that it can further and advance the research with the drugs that is being done with the medicines, psychedelic and psychoactive medicines. They're a public benefit corporation, so that means that their members, advisors, and investors and supporters are all aligned to this kind of reciprocity and impact approach that they're taking. They listen to their community. A lot of times, many companies say, they're listening to their customers or to the people that are benefiting from their products. But Maya Health is really kind of developing and has developed their whole company in collaboration with the psychedelics practitioners, educators, researchers, and beneficiaries like patients to design and develop their business models. They also have a giving back and supporting equitable access. I think that's important. I think even if every single company is doing, putting capital towards equitable access, it still won't be enough. We know how expensive healthcare is, and the patients that need it most are the ones that cannot afford it. So I highly recommend to definitely kind of earmark and be following the companies that are doing these kind of activities. A couple of other companies with similar ethics and impact approach are OzMind, Journey Clinical, Influence, but I'll leave that for our next interview to get into those.
We'll make sure to provide all the links so people can also do their own research and look into those companies. Thank you so much for creating such a beautiful, comprehensive list for us. It's wonderful, and that definitely gives the people that come to the Dales report a lot to look for when they continue their journey of where to put their money and who to invest in and who to get in contact with. We all come into this industry for our own reasons, and I think one of the best reasons are when we have a personal attachment to the work that we're doing because it has had a transformational impact on our own lives. And that's, again, a pretty heated debate about whether, CEOs and founders of these psychedelic companies should have tried the medicine themselves, whether or not it's necessary for them to truly understand what it is that they're profiting and pushing out. So for you personally, have psychedelics had an impact on you? Can you pinpoint a moment in your life that kind of oriented you towards this work by the nudge of a psychedelic experience?
Yeah, I just want to begin by stating the obvious fact. These substances are still controlled substances. They are controlled by the DEA. So, I would never recommend anyone to break the law. However, there are jurisdictions in different countries where this is part of the indigenous culture of these countries. And if people are interested in experiencing psychedelic medicines, there is kind of avenues towards that, to do it in a safe and legal manner, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, for me, apart from being a pharmacologist and really being fascinated by how molecules interact with the body on a molecular level, the other kind of big push for me to come and do this work is my personal experiences with psychedelic medicines. And honestly, for me, the drive is the impact that it's had in on my personal life. I want that for everyone. And I'm not trying to say that I've suffered any major trauma or anything like that, but I think that we can all agree that living in today's world is traumatic for everyone to one level or another. And the way that these medicines and compounds have helped me personally is kind of to really look inside of me. I come from an immigrant family, and for us it's like tick the boxes of society. That's what success means, rather than what is bringing joy and happiness. And for me, as I mentioned, the biggest joy and happiness in my life is to help others unconditionally, without expecting anything in return. And kind of I got to this place through the help of these medicines. I was stuck in the corporate, hamster wheel, where I was doing really great at the things I was doing, but I just didn't feel peace and content in myself, because I was doing good things, but with the wrong intention, to tick society's boxes and to be accepted by society. And with my work with these medicines, I was really able to look inside of me and do things that bring the light that I have inside, and kind of the skills that I've gained over the years with my education, my career, to fuel and catalyze work that is going to touch people's lives and really get them out of that ruckus and being stuck in like, oh, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do this. I think everyone is supposed to do what they feel aligned to. And if that doesn't tick society's boxes and it's kind of different, I think that's great too. I think we should all follow our own path and not be kind of sucked into that expectation that if you're not hitting this box or that you're not a valuable human in the world, or whatever those constructs in our minds that we struggle with on a daily basis. So yeah, I do recommend it definitely to be practiced in a very safe way, in a legal way, only in jurisdictions that allow it. But it's incredible, and this is what we're doing because not everyone has access to these different countries and jurisdictions to go on ayahuasca ceremony or whatever. So the work that we're all doing in this space is to be able to provide this opportunity to people in a safe manner that can help them, elevate and enlighten their own lives.
Yeah, and know that they have options. Thank you so much, Maria. It was so wonderful to spend some time with you today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, Nicole.